Hi there, welcome to another Wellbeing Conversation brought to you by the Wellbeing Directory in partnership with the Busy Women Club on Facebook. I'm your host, Helen, and each week we're chatting with incredible wellbeing professionals from our national directory to explore their journeys, passions, and the work they do to help others thrive and live well. And today I'm joined by Catherine Langford, to share her story. Welcome, Catherine. Tell us a little bit about your business and how
Hello.
you've started. What's your backstory?
Of course. So, hello everybody. So, I'm Catherine, and I help people to move out of pain, so release the pain and tension in the body. And I came to it because of pain in my own body, which all of us, I think, sometimes have pains and we might ignore them. And those little signals that we think, oh, I'll deal with that later, mine got bigger and bigger and bigger. And eventually it led to me when I was pregnant with my second child and not being able to walk. So I was heavily pregnant, and I just kind of lost the ability. It was really strange to move my legs and walk up the stairs, and I just was kind of completely bent over and not able to straighten up. So my initial reaction was just crying, what on earth am I going to do? And then I went to a chiropractor because I just felt like the doctors weren't going to help me and the chiropractor might be able to, but they couldn't, probably due to the fact I was pregnant. Anyway, a long story short, after I had my child...
Did they think it was something to do with pregnancy at the time, or...?
No, they knew it was just my lower back, it was, so that something had moved.
Okay.
But because I was so close to the end of having my baby, they did do some work, but she just said it could bring the baby on, and it was COVID time as well, so I was just very scared of so I just had to suffer, and I couldn't take any medication. Well, I felt like I couldn't. I'm sure people would do just different things, but for me, I didn't want to take any medication because of my baby. So I just had to deal with the pain. And it did gradually ease up, and that lockness did gradually. And then once I had my baby, it did, but I couldn't lie on my back. So it took a long time for me to be able to open my body up again. So to cut that story short, and then I basically was looking for something to help me, and I found Pilates, and that did help. But everything that I did, I always got stuck again, and my lower back always was painful. And eventually I found block therapy. And block therapy is about the fascia in our body, and I'd never ever heard of fascia. And fascia is that connective tissue. So every cell that we have in our body needs to have a certain amount of space, and in between all the cells is fascia. And if we lose the space in the cells, they can't get the nutrients that they need. They can't get rid of the waste. And the fascia's job is to keep us upright, is to support us. So when we sit like this and we collapse and we shift one side, we might lean, we pigeon toe our feet or outwards with our feet. The fascia is trying to keep us upright all the time. And because we're not...
I'm going to correct my posture now. You're talking about posture.
Yeah, I know.
Feeling the need to straighten up.
I know. And we all do it because we are on computer screens looking at our phones and our neck is down. But it's about us not being consciously aware of how we're standing. And maybe we don't even know how we're supposed to stand, what the correct optimal way to stand is. And so the fascia then locks us out of alignment, and that causes the pain. So when people say just stand or sit up straight, some people can't, and that was me. So there was no way when I was locked then that I could just sit up straight. The fascia had locked me out of alignment. And I know now it's because I was sitting down a lot. I breastfed my first and second child, and I was hunched over. I worked at a desk. I drove a lot. So I always had this sort of rounded posture, and I wasn't really aware that I should be standing up correctly, and I just wasn't aware of what was happening to my body at all. And that's where block therapy saved me, how I see it, because it gave me this block here is what we use, and it basically creates the space that was lost in the body, and then it taught me to breathe again, and then you maintain the space by looking at your posture. So that's kind of how I found it.
Wow, this is something I think a lot of people listening won't have heard about. I sort of I'm aware of fascia and our need to sort of work at healing our fascia and supporting it as part of our well-being. But I think a lot of people won't have heard of this technique at all.
Definitely not. So the lady that invented it is called Deanna Hansen, and she's in Canada. So in Canada and America is more popular. So in the UK, there is just 4 of us at the moment that are instructors. Wow. So there's not many of us at all. So it's a new thing, and I'm hoping it'll become more and more popular in the UK and around the world, because we all need it. Like Deanna says, it's the missing link to self-care, and it's so simple because you can start with a rolled up towel, as simple as this, and sometimes for some people this is all they need for maybe a year or so. The block can be too intense for some people, depending on how frozen and locked they are out of alignment. So it's really accessible right from the start.
So is it a therapy that's used in conjunction with other therapies that free the body, like osteopathy or chiropractic? Is it?
It complements everything. So what a chiropractor may do is help you in the moment. What block therapy does is gets to the root problem. So when we have shoulder pain, it isn't probably our shoulder that's causing the pain. Because if you think about my top, if I just use the example, if there's a pain here and it's twisted here, it's also pulling at my hip, because the fascia has locked here, and I might get pain all the way through here, but I might not feel it. I might just feel it here. So you need to work the whole body to release the shoulder sometimes, because the sternum here will have an effect, the clavicle, the collarbone, the pec, the armpit. So yeah, so it's a full body approach, and it is a lifestyle change. It isn't something that, like a shower, like eating healthy, you can do once and it gets better. You will get relief even after the first session, but it will come back because we don't stand properly. We fall to one side. You've got to always be creating that space in the body to maintain that space. So it's a lifestyle change to become pain-free in the long run, so you get to that root problem. Just like when you go to a chiropractor, it may last a week maybe, and then the pain's back. This is a lifestyle change. So yeah,
it sounds almost something as fundamental as breathing in the correct way.
It is. So that's one of the
when we learn through breathing techniques or even meditation techniques to sort of reprogram our reflex habits of the body.
Yeah, definitely. And that's how it works. So the first step is to create space in the body, and you do that with the towel or the block. And then you need to breathe diaphragmatically to inflate that space. So it's really important to breathe in and out through the nose. And the reason why it's in and out through the nose is because the tongue needs to be aligned correctly. So about 1 centimetre from behind the teeth is a ridge, and your tongue should suction up to the roof of the mouth. And it does this to support the neck. But also that double chin that some of us might have is normally because the tongue's not in the right place, and because the muscle is not, when you suction it up, if you do that now, you'll feel a change in your neck. You'll feel how it's supporting you.
Yeah.
So yeah, so breathing in and out. So you want your belly to expand outwards. We don't want to be chest breathing. If we chest breathe, we get 6 times less oxygen in the body. So that means that the cells aren't getting the nutrients, they're not getting the blood and oxygen they need. And so if they're not getting that, that's where diseases start in the body, because if they don't have the right oxygen, they've not got all the right nutrients, that's when the problems can start in the body. So it's about getting that breath. So even if you just breathe diaphragmatically, that would help you, because lots of people don't know how to breathe from the belly.
And is this something that you teach as part of a session?
Yeah.
Do you talk about breathing? Do you talk about posture?
Yeah, so in the classes I do, so I do online classes. So I did one this morning, and in the classes we focus on particular areas. So this morning it was head, neck and arms. And in each position that we do, we always start in the belly position. And the reason for that is to get that breath pumping, feel where the breath is coming from. So in each position, we're always talking about breathing in for a count of 4, out for a count of 6, and then holding before you take your next breath. And that's to get the optimal amount of oxygen in there and help you sink into the block in the towel. And then we move the block into different positions and stay there for 3 minutes in each one. So yeah.
Wow. So in order to create the space that the fascia needs, what's the process?
It is as simple as lying on the block or the towel in different parts of the body. And because we use wood, because it mimics bone, and so it can get deep into the deep fascia. So there's obviously different layers of fascia, and you'll go through the layers, but block therapy melts them rather than there's other fascia techniques that kind of blast them away and are superficial. So like a foam roller, for example, people might have heard of using a foam roller. Yeah, so that'll just get to the surface level of the fascia, whereas this will get down to where it is on the bone and release it from the bone as well, so that it's all released and can go back to the space, and all the organs can go back to where they need to be.
Gosh.
So when we, yeah.
So is there a process so somebody would come to you with, say, a pain in the lower back?
Yeah.
Is there a process that you go through the whole of the body to release fascia in a certain way? If everything is connected,
so it
is
depends
that
on
how you do it?
Yeah, so it depends on what the person's looking to do. So some people may want to do one-to-one sessions and have focused on their body. So by looking at photographs, we can look. So I'm starting some training this month where we're looking at photographs, and we can see by the alignment. So it's called fascial alignment training, and you can see by the way that the leg or the arm is positioned, the twist of the fascia, what they need to do. So that's something I'm going to be bringing in soon. But just by coming to the classes, you'll cover the whole body. And then if there's a particular issue like the lower back, it's probably the hips, because when we collapse into the core, all the organs get pushed to the lower back. They've got no space, and that's where we feel that pressure. But it's because of the shoulders rounding forward, that sitting down, sleeping on the side, your hip flexors get shortened, and that causes lower back pain as well. So it is all linked. And also your feet, you might not imagine it, but your feet are so important because they are the foundation to the body. And if we don't have space in between our toes to support us, the rest of the whole of the body can't be supported. So we need to have space in between our toes. And when I started, I laughed because I just couldn't open my toes. Like, my husband's got amazing feet and he could spread all his toes, and I couldn't do that at all. Whereas now I can spread all my toes. So I didn't realize that cramping myself into small shoes, high heels that are like putting me not off my center of balance, was affecting my body so much. So it's all related, everything that we do. So we work right in between the toes, and also that in between the fingers. There's so much you can do to release that fascia. So to answer your question, if you're looking for a particular, like your lower back isn't just the lower back we focus on. We need to be looking to open the core, and then the pelvis, legs and feet, and then the head, neck and arms. And then once you've gone through that, you could then reassess where's the pain now, because the pain may then move to a different area because you've released that bit, and now we might have a blockage somewhere else, and we need to release that blockage. So it's just about keep working with the body and releasing what you need. So yeah.
Wow, it's yes, absolutely fascinating. It's something I've not come across. Do you actually work with groups online as well? When you say you work online, or is it only one-to-one work? Can you work in groups?
Yeah, so it's a class. So the classes are online, and then some people in person one-to-one, but also online one-to-one. So the classes are, you follow what routine I've set for the day, and then the one-to-one will be a discussion of what works for that person, what they're looking to achieve, what they've done previously, etc. So it's more bespoke to that person, whereas the classes are just the general classes that I go through that's needed depending on the people's experience of block therapy. So it's accessible to everybody, but some people might start on a bed because they may not be able to get to the floor. Some people might start in a chair because they might not be able to get on the floor. So we meet the person where they first are when they start, and then as you do the work, you then can get down to the floor. So everyone's individual, but there are class ones and individual sessions as well.
And how do your patients feel when they've sort of, presumably this is a learned process and they have to practice it regularly and be consistent with the process? How quickly can they obtain results and that sort of freedom from pain?
Yeah. Well, it's hard to say because it depends on how much they're locked in out of alignment. So everybody is different, and so when we release the fascia, toxins come out the body. So you may get like a rash, you might get an upset stomach, you might get a lot of mucus because the body's releasing all those toxins out of the body. So people need to work at their pace. So somebody might block every single day, and others that might be too much because they're releasing a lot. If someone doesn't have a lot to release, then they probably can work a little bit faster. So you will feel relief after one session, but you won't feel complete release. So this morning, my neck was hurting a little bit from sleeping, and I felt the release because my neck is not locked out of alignment. Whereas when I was working on my hips, it took maybe 4 months of working my hips, because that was my problem, to start feeling the rush of blood going through it. And to be honest, it was like magical when I felt that blood rushing through, because I know I was getting through the layers of fascia and all that restriction. But I still have pain if I sit for too long, if I do something for too long, I still have pain there. So I still need to keep working in my hip, because that's my main area that's for me that's locked. And then obviously once I've unlocked that, I'll be able to work into my calves, which again are quite frozen because they're furthest away from the heart and the diaphragm, which getting the blood to them takes longer to get there, and all the blockages, it's difficult to get that more down to the feet. So, yeah.
And is it this technique that helped you overcome your pain? Is this how you started?
Yeah, so this is how I found. So I found it, as I said at the beginning, because of my lower back. I couldn't find everything else I tried, it would just make it worse. And this was the only thing that made it better. And so now if I do exercise, I'm not scared of the pain. I've learned that pain is a message, and that is like a massive thing, because people fear pain. And the minute we fear pain, we add more pain into our body, because the fear, if you think of fear, I don't know what you might do for fear, but for me, I go small, like my stomach might have a little flip because I'm scared, and I make myself as small as possible, but that is collapsing all my body again. So I'm locking myself even more with this fear that I feel. So the other side of what I do for those people that are interested in the emotional side of it is I use things like coaching, NLP and silent counselling, which works with meridians and the breath to breathe out that emotion from the body. And that for me is an important part of getting pain out of the body, because it does get trapped in the body because of all the experiences that we've had. The body remembers, and that side of it to me is really important, as well as the block therapy side.
So how did you find the treatment? Were you online? Were you looking for help online, or was there somebody near you in the UK who?
Oh no, sorry. I found it through online. So Deanna Hansen has her own website, and that's how I found it. So I just went online. I'm a bit of a person that just jumps in if I find something that works. I started with a towel, and I just then decided I'm going to jump in and become an instructor, even if it's just for me, because I need to learn this properly from the beginning. So within a month of finding it, I decided I was going to be an instructor, not necessarily to teach, but then it has taken me to that. It was just I wanted to absorb it all and learn from the best, which to me is Deanna, to be able to get my body into the shape I wanted it, so that it could, with my 2 young children, I didn't want to be not able to play with them on the floor. It was really important to me to heal quickly.
And do you specialise, obviously you had this experience in pregnancy. Do you specialise in any sort of particular groups in the population, like pregnant ladies or?
No,
your clients?
when you are pregnant, that is the one time you're not going to be able to do all the positions. So
Okay.
everyone can do block therapy. You can use the block when you're pregnant, but you can't do the belly position. And obviously, as you get bigger, there may be trickier positions to get into. So for me, I don't specialize with anybody, because pain is pain, and whether it's an autoimmune disease or a knee problem or you broke your ankle and now you've got issues from it, it's all the same. It's all about the fascia has locked you out of alignment, and we all need to release that fascia. So it kind of doesn't really matter what the pain is and where it is. It's important to work the whole of the body, but that's where the one-to-ones come in. If somebody's really struggling with a particular part, is to get them moving in that area and then focus on what can we do to maintain this, because it's going to come back if we just leave it, which is what potentially a chiropractor or physio would do, fix the knee, but it comes back because that person's walking like this or not walking straight, they're shifting the weight to the side, they're collapsing. It's all not helping maintain that correct posture. So that's what the full approach is. Yeah.
And do you within the sort of parameters of your practice, do you go into sort of the emotional and mental side of pain, the fact that the physiological will attach itself to thoughts and emotions and increase the sensation or the appreciation of pain? Do you do that level of work with people? Is that part of the remits of the practice?
Yeah, that's right. So you don't have to do this. So not everybody, when everyone's on different paths and at different stages. So if people just want to do the body work, the block therapy, that's absolutely fine, and they will get results. Yeah. And then I have my coaching side, so that I link them together. And I've got a program where we would be doing block therapy, but we'd also be doing coaching and talking about how they feel. So there's for example, a lady that just popped in my head there, about every 6 months she has a flare up. And when she said, I'm on month 4 now, it's going to happen in 2 months. That to me is her emotional side of it, her stories that she's creating, that is going to create that pain to come in 2 months' time, not actually her body, it's her emotions that she's got trapped. So when you talk through that and try and release it, where's that coming from, what she's scared of, and using the techniques like silent counselling, any NLP techniques, depending on the person, you can release those emotions that are attached to it, and that will help with that breaking that pain cycle. So yeah, there's two sides, I believe, with pain. It's not just physical pain, it's emotional pain that can make it worse. Yeah, it's a hard thing.
Wow, it's massive, isn't it? I mean, there's so much to, and it's of course usually fear-based. There's signals from the body, or the body telling us there's something not right, something happening that's not shouldn't be there. But also that sort of then attaches itself to our thoughts and emotions, doesn't it? To embed it even further is what you're saying, and imprint those, those sensations at a cellular level, and that's what you're working to release.
Yeah.
So is it pressure with the block then? How does it actually work if you were using the block on an area of your body? And I presume you work through areas of the body. Is it specifically where fascia join, or
it's fascia's everywhere? So
how do you define the body
whole,
into sections?
So for a class will be in length. So I would pick the positions, knowing how long I'm going to be in the positions to cover certain parts of the body. But you can focus on one area. So we could say that we're doing calves and feet in this class. We're doing legs, pelvis, and feet, or we're doing the core. We're doing the head, neck, and arms. So you need to cover the whole body, but you can focus on just the knee, or you can focus on. But as long as you're doing the whole body in over a period of time, and not just doing the calves or not just doing a certain area, because you want to release everywhere part in the body. So it's about taking the approach, and that's where I come in to support people to know where to do it, because that's the first thing. And then once you've learned, that's where you can do at home, and you can be blocking while you're watching the TV and passive blocking. So it's you can't block too much. It's always your breath is your guide. So the pressure is you gravity placing your body weight onto the block, and you're in control of that. So if it's too painful, you will ease off a bit or move to another area that's not as painful. But you want to be a pain seeker. You want to seek out the pain, because the pain is a restriction. And then as the pain starts to ease away, you're melting away that fascia and making all the cells go to where they need to go, and that then gets that blood and oxygen to that area, and you're helping it, but you're always in control of it. It's not like a race. You can always back off, and if 3 minutes is too long in a position, then you don't have to do that, but that's the minimum amount of time to get deep into the area that you should be doing it for, if at all possible. So, yeah.
As you can tell from my questions, it's an area I know very little about, so my questions are probably really foolish. But
not at all.
It sounds to me a little bit like I love practicing yin yoga, which is really slow yoga where you hold a position and allow the deeper tissues to stretch and relax. And I've always found that a really fascinating space to go into, because it takes you to that edge of pain, mentally and emotionally, and our sort of body's interpretation of when to stop doing something, or when to keep staying in a place to allow release. And it feels quite similar to what you're talking about. I'm completely fascinated. I think I'm going to have to jump on a class with you and manifest some pain somewhere and have a go. I'm just wondering whether we could actually do a session online for the group, so people can do this at home, because it sounds absolutely amazing if we could do a short session. But it sounds sort of, there's a similarity there with exploring the reaches of release, sitting and accepting a space or pain or whatever it is as part of the therapy, in order for it to be released, the attachment that's holding it in that space for it to ultimately go.
Yeah, that's right. That's lovely described as well. And it is, and everyone's pain threshold is different. And some people are not ready to let go. Some people are not, at that stage yet, and that's fine. And some people get an emotional release from being on the block, because all that energy, all that trapped emotion comes out as they relax on the block and they go to that meditative place, which is what you were describing, and just breathing diaphragmatically, which we all know breathing in itself calms the nervous system down. And then when you're in pain and you're able to release that pain, it just becomes completely, and it becomes very, for me anyway, very addictive, and I want to be blocking all the time. And so I'm not scared of having that twinge that I might feel that I was previously, because I know I've got my block to look after me. So
Oh, wow. It's just amazing. I mean, it reminds me again of some of my work doing work in trauma with PTSD, clients with PTSD, and that held and stored emotion at a very cellular level that you would automatically think that we would naturally want that release immediately. But for whatever secondary gain, the body is holding tight to what it knows and keeping us in that space, whether it's a memory or an emotion or a thought pattern or physical pain and trauma in the body. Our natural inclination as an organism is to stay where we are, because staying where we are is seen as a better option than moving and releasing and letting go. So
we feel safe sometimes, don't we, in what we know rather than the unknown. And so you've got to be ready to release that, and not everyone's ready. Like even some family members that I speak to about it, not everyone's ready for this, and it is a lifestyle change. It isn't. Some people would rather just take a pain relief pill than do the work, and that's just, they're at different stages. So it is for the person that's ready to release the pain and have it gone for good, really. So
wow, what a fascinating conversation. I've got so many questions, and I think there's so much more we can talk about. Maybe you and I can have a chat about how we can do this again. And yeah, I don't know whether we could do this as part of a session online and just let people
Yeah,
experience the words, but we
definitely. And
can
all they
chat
need
about
is,
that.
yeah, rolling up a
All we need
towel and
is
we can
a
do a
random
little
towel.
session. Yeah, that's it.
Okay,
And we can
we
do
have a
it a
plan.
small session.
We have a plan for next time. We will, Catherine and I will talk about this. But for now, Catherine, thank you so much.
No,
Yeah,
thank you,
wow.
Helen. It's been a pleasure.
What a lovely chat, and we'll be back soon with more.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Okay.